Okay, Nausheen, so great work writing these new essays. Excellent job. Let's go straight into it and see what you've done. The issue of whether human beings ought to transform themselves for technology or vice versa is a contentious issue and even worrying for scientists, governments, or even citizens. Great sentence, some nice vocabulary, contentious issue, great. If anything, a little detail here. I'm not crazy about two evens in the same sentence, so you could have taken this one out and just had it say scientists, governments, or citizens. Okay, I believe that humans should harness technology to tackle their problems, and the advances in technology have undoubtedly made people intellectually weaker, as I will discuss further below. Okay, so a very clear answer to the question for both points, so nice job there. And let's move on. Firstly, it is essential that people should adjust to technological advancements in accordance with their requirements. This is because it is the most effective method by which humans can solve various issues facing the world today. However, if the technological discoveries were able to change people, this would in fact lead to devastating is the word you mean here, a little spelling mistake. Devastating consequences. For example, thanks to the state-of-the-art technology, genetic engineers have been able to employ technology to produce genetically modified crops to eradicate spelling again. It's famines with an A. Therefore, it can be seen that people can effectively control technology for their well-being. Okay, this is grammatically really, really great. I mean, it's error-free. You've got some nice examples, some nice vocabulary. So I'm not really sure about this whole however part here, if that really fits into the central idea of your paragraph. But the rest of the paragraph flows really nicely, makes sense, so great job. Okay, so moving on. Secondly, even though the cutting-edge technology has unprecedented benefits, great collocation there. Over-reliance, make sure you keep a hyphen between these two words because it's actually one word. Over-reliance on it has drastically affected our mental capacities. This is due to the fact that it is not uncommon these days to develop a habit. This H is not silent, so no N is necessary. A habit of relying on gadgets such as calculators, smartphones to solve calculators or smartphones to solve minor problems, which used to be tackled using common sense, prior knowledge, or experience by our forefathers. You could have left this out, or just prior experience would have been fine. Prior knowledge or experience. Okay, so for instance, recent studies by Oxford University, capitalized university, have found that the results of psychometric tests of this generation are, not is, approximately 20% lower as compared to our ancestors. Consequently, even if the technology has made our lives convenient, this has not came, but come. This has come at an expense of our intellectual capacities. Okay, very nice. To conclude, it is clear that the technology should adapt itself for humans so as to improve their standards of living, but nonetheless, humans should also make use of their cognitive skills rather than depend too much on technology in order to boost their mental powers. All right, really nice. Great work there. I saw some really nice vocabulary, some good grammatical structures. Your format is great. You've used proper structure. There were just a couple of little areas that I was not so sure about. Keep up the good work. It's excellent work. Okay, let's move on to your report. Okay, so I might just have to click back to the actual bar chart itself to double check your description. So let's see, the bar chart illustrates the number of projected visits from Mexico, Canada, and the USA to London, Paris, Madrid, and Istanbul in 2018. Americans are expected to visit European cities more than Asian ones. You didn't need an apostrophe here, just Asian ones is fine. Okay, about 100,000 people will visit Paris from the USA, the highest figure in the graph, whereas a substantially lower number of Mexicans will visit Paris at 20,000 visits. Similarly, significantly less people are forecasted to visit London from Mexico. Okay, significantly fewer because people is countable, so we use fewer, not less. So significantly fewer people are forecasted to visit London from Mexico, 80,000 visits. It should be as opposed to those from the USA, the lowest figure in the graph. Okay, so you really need to be careful here because when I read this, I thought that the lowest figure in the graph that you were referring to the figure for the USA, but if you look at the chart right here, London, USA is 80,000, whereas Mexico is 20,000. So it looks like you've reversed your data. Careful. This is really important. The examiners don't want to see inaccurate data, so careful, careful there. Let me just double check it again. Yeah, you've reversed it, okay? You wrote 80,000 visits for Mexico. Alrighty. The figure for Canadians' visit to London and Paris. Okay, Canadian visits. This is your noun and Canadian is your adjective, so this should be singular, but that should be plural. So the figure for Canadian visits to London and Paris will be slightly different, with the difference in favor of London, about 50,000 visits. Okay, although almost the same number of people is predicted, same number of people are predicted, because it's number of people, to visit Madrid from the USA and Mexico at approximately 70,000 each. 3 times more will go to Istanbul from the USA as compared to Mexico, with figures of 60,000 and 20,000 respectively. The highest number of visitors to Istanbul will be from Canada at 70,000, while the visitors to Madrid are estimated, not is, visitors are estimated to be considerably lower at 30,000. Okay, overall, what stands out is that while Americans are likely to visit the mentioned cities more than the other 2 nationalities, which other 2 nationalities? Make it clear here because there are actually 3. Even though you mention Mexicans, it's not clear here what you're talking about. Mexicans will travel the least. Additionally, the visits to Asian cities. Careful again, it's just one Asian city. And also remember that a big portion of Istanbul is in Europe. So additionally, the visits to Asian cities are predicted to be higher than European cities. Okay, so I'm assuming when you say Asian cities that you're talking about Istanbul. I'm not really sure how accurate that is. Taking a look at it, okay, yeah, it's true that Canadians visit Istanbul quite a bit, and Americans do as well, but there are really a lot of other much higher figures on this chart, so I don't believe that that's really the most accurate thing. Another thing that I would have liked you to point out here was this figure for Madrid and Mexico. Take a look at it. It's actually, excuse me, really much, much higher. I mean, the difference is huge. Mexico's visits to Madrid are 3 times higher than all the other cities Mexicans plan. And I think that's really worth pointing out in the description here. But other than that, and maybe like a point or 2 where there were some inaccuracies, it was really nice. Your grammar is great. Again, except for some little things that we pointed out. Vocabulary, fantastic structure. Paragraphing is great. So really good work. Keep it up. Just make sure to note all of these issues on your error corrections. Remember that accuracy is important. So keep up this excellent work, and you're doing great.